A bunch of people have been asking me my power scaling thoughts based on the recent chapter, and I don't have any right now. The recent chapter doesn't change anything for me in regards to Kaido. It just pushes the agenda of the admirals, and that's not what we're focused on. Like, what I want to talk about today is predictions. Well, One Piece chapter 988 is not out, so like as promised, we're going to talk about the chapter or predictions for the chapter every time there's a break. So there's a break this week, so therefore when the chapter is supposed to come out, we drop a video in regards to the predictions, and we'll talk about what we think is going to happen in the next chapter. So also what I use these for is like clarification on different things from 987 based off of like reading it over and over again, talking to different people about it. And so that's what we're going to talk about here at first, talk about some predictions, and then, you know, that's pretty much the video. So yeah, no power scaling thoughts today. And, you know, I plan on making just a power scaling video, just talking about how I feel about the power scaling in the community, how people, I think, misrepresent what power scaling really means and how it should be looked at, because I feel like some people do overrate it. Some people do look at it as just strictly toxic when, you know, I think we're blaming power scaling when it's really toxic individuals, right? So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to talk about 988 and what we expect to happen. But first, some things we want to address from 987. Kaido mentioned Oden's Ryo. I didn't get too deep into Ryo in regards to the review and the analysis because I think the topic of Ryo has to be covered in depth. Because if you just touch on Ryo and what exactly it means, it could be misleading or just misrepresented. Here, like in this chapter, they talk about Ryo and Kaido's asking the question, hey, is he using Oden's Ryo? So people then ran with that and then started to talk about the Scabbards having advanced armament haki and etc, etc. And I think it's a bunch of things going on here. First, Ryo, and sometimes I do this, right? Where I talk about Ryo and I say, well, this person has Ryo, Luffy's learning Ryo. Sometimes I just mean advanced armament. Ryo in Wano just means flowing haki, right? And it's the application of, where for swordsmen, they're using Ryo because they're applying haki to their sword. It's sometimes difficult to discern exactly what people mean when they talk about flowing Ryo, which literally just means haki, and advanced armament. I think going forward, what I'm going to try to do is when I mention Ryo, just basically talk about strictly haki and not use Ryo to talk about advanced armament, right? Because that's the easiest way to convey when you're talking about advanced armament. But Ryo literally just means haki. So it's like mantra and observation haki in Skypiea. But there are obviously levels to this in regards to Ryo or in regards to advanced armament haki. It's very difficult to get rid of that habit, but I think we have to so that we don't cause a bunch of confusion in the future. So back to Kaido and talking about Oden's Ryo, that's something that's interesting because then it's like, okay, how were the Scabbards able to tap into Oden's Ryo if that's what he meant? Or to be more specific, how are they using Oden's haki? But when we dissect exactly what Kaido said, do they use his Ryo too? Or to translate, do they use his haki too? It's like, are they using his level of haki? Are they using his specific haki? Are they able to somehow, again, tap into Oden's haki because they're inheriting Oden's will? There's so much there to dissect. We have to wait exactly, or for the next chapter to see exactly what Kaido was talking about. Now, to tap into one's haki, that's something that was talked about or touched upon a bit in Ringo. Gyukimaru was talking to Zoro about the swords and just like people being buried with the swords and how the swords and the will from the swords, it carries on. So I'm calling him Gyukimaru, but I really mean Onimaru. I mean, it's the same person, but that's who he is, who it is, I guess. He described the exact situation that the Scabbards went through in regards to talking about when your companion dies, right? He said, in battle, when your companion dies before your eyes, you take his sword and continue onward. The soul that resides in a katana makes a samurai strong and enables him to destroy his enemies. So it's weird because they're not necessarily using Oden's sword, but there's a scar left by Oden's sword that they could tap into in regards to Kaido and the effect Oden had on him. So I'm not sure if that plays into it because none of them are using Oden's sword. None of them are using Enma or Amido Habikiri. And for a bit, I'm not gonna lie, what happened in this chapter does bring more credence to Zoro being the one to land the final hit on Kaido. We'll talk about that in depth in another video because I think it's time to examine Zoro killing Kaido. I think we have enough evidence and enough things there to say whether or not there's a chance. So I think we're going to talk about in another video as far as like Zoro killing Kaido, the percentage and where it's at now, because honestly, I think the percentage has gone up. It has increased in regards to Zoro landing the final blow. Now, in regards to how this was positioned initially, where some people felt like Zoro was going to be the one basically fighting Kaido by himself and then, you know, killing this dragon. That's not how I see things playing out if Zoro does kill Kaido. But again, we'll talk about that. However, it's interesting, this entire thing with Ryo and Oden and the Scabbards, because it leads to so many questions, but that's something that we can't answer now. We literally just have to wait. Something I also wanted to mention was what Kaido's saying here as far as like, oh, are they using Oden's Ryo too? Is almost as if he's curious himself. He doesn't know exactly why they were able to pierce him and hurt him. Now, this reminds me of Katakuri in Whole Cake Island, where he talks about, well, I think Luffy's approaching my level now, right? Where Katakuri had more knowledge in regards to Luffy having future sight. But I remember after Katakuri said that, people automatically assumed Luffy was on Katakuri's level in regards to future sight, which I think we all can agree that he still is not, right? Katakuri is still ahead of Luffy, and I think on a different level in regards to that specific power. So it's not the exact same scenario, but it reminded me of that. So I don't want people to jump in the comment section, there's nothing like it, bro, relax, right? Relax, my nigga. I'm just saying it reminds me of it. So that's something I wanted to point out in regards to the last chapter that I really didn't talk about, but I think we get some more answers in the next chapter based on what happens to Kaido versus the Scabbards. There are a few things I wanted to talk about that could lead into some great things for the next chapter, and those are basically unplanned or unexpected alliances. Something that I've been expecting for a while is Law and Hawkins to team up. Bro, I promise you I plan on making a video about this. I talked to people about it, and I still absolutely will. But I think seeing Law here, and we're assuming he's with Hawkins. People are saying it's heat. Some people were saying this is the funniest one I saw. Oh, is that random guy from Shanks' crew? I'm like, yo, what are we talking about? I think it's Hawkins, right? Because for Law, there are different ways in which you can manipulate the situation, but that could lead to some amazing stuff. But even deeper than that, there's another unexpected alliance, truly unexpected alliance that I really didn't touch on. That's Marco and Perospero. When we thought Marco was going after someone, I said the most logical thing is Perospero, but I was hoping it could be someone else to just make it more exciting. However, Perospero knows, well, I think Perospero knows he can't beat Marco, because I don't think Perospero can beat Marco. So for Perospero, his goal is to sabotage this alliance. And Kaido talking about this alliance, and then, you know, when they know that you will lose, they will betray you, etc., etc. That's like almost blatant foreshadowing that Big Mom at some point is going to turn on the Beast Pirates. Now, for Perospero, going along with Marco, it's not that crazy, because I think he holds the Beast Pirates to a higher regard than the Straw Hat Pirates in regards to they're more of a threat to the Big Mom Pirates, because that's already an established Yonko's crew. And for Perospero, even though it's an alliance, when alliances come together, there's an obvious hierarchy here. And I think we're seeing it in which Kaido is obviously the top dog. And I think Perospero saw that coming, where Big Mom went to Wano. Big Mom is in Kaido's territory. Big Mom is going along with a lot of Kaido's plans. So Big Mom, even if it's not in, you know, in title, she is working for Kaido based on the things that's happening so far. And at the end of the day, we know as the viewers, this is Kaido's arc. More than anything, Big Mom is just there. Big Mom is just thrown in as a, not just a monkey wrench, but to make it more difficult for the Straw Hats. It's like an enormous enemy for them to overcome. So for Perospero, he's very wary of that. And Perospero, he was very competent in Whole Cake Island. He was wary of things that were going on, Big Mom's changes, her status, everything about Big Mom Perospero noticed, right? Even things he told her and things he didn't tell her, he's aware and keen in regards to how Big Mom operates and the things he wants to get out of her. So right now, Perospero thinks the best thing is to sabotage this alliance so that the Big Mom Pirates don't fall into this hole of being behind the Beast Pirates. So the best case scenario now is to work with Marco, sabotage this alliance, and the best case is this becomes a free-for-all. And I think if this truly becomes a free-for-all like I expect, Katakuri will show up. And then he gets Big Mom out of there, because Big Mom, something should trigger Big Mom's memories. I think Oda doesn't just leave that open-ended. You have to at some point bring that up, because I think that would be an easy way to get Big Mom out of the arc in which she's just basically immobilized by her own memories. And we've seen that before, so we could see that again. I think Oda really touches on this in the next chapter, the things that could lead up to the betrayal, because I think if you see Perospero, the eldest son of Big Mom, with Marco, somebody that's clearly with the alliance, if you're King, what do you think? There's no way you can possibly think, oh, they're just cool, he's really still with. No. King is like, what the hell? Yo, Kaido, we gotta really watch Big Mom. Perospero is working with Marco. And then there spawns conflict with Kaido and Big Mom. And then, you know, we're back to a huge free-for-all. So that's something we got to look out for. But I felt like that was really interesting, Oda just throwing that in there. But that's a really big deal that Marco is with Perospero. The main thing I wanted to talk about was Kaido versus the Scabbards. I think that's going to be the main focus of chapter 988. Unless Oda trolls and goes away from it and shows us, like, you know, Nami and stuff, and Robin and Jinbei and Frankie. Maybe Oda, not trolls, but maybe Oda finally shows us what's going on with the Blacks. it's a bit weird. What's going on with Black Lake Sanji and Black Maria? I think for these two, it's obvious that they're not missing for no reason. Oda's keeping them away because I think something is either going on, or Oda's gonna have another moment with Sanji where he's not gonna hit women. And personally, I don't want to see that again. I hope that's not the case at all. I hope something else happens, because I don't know, man. I'm kind of over that. I know that's Sanji's thing and I know it's going to continue, but I would like if each arc, it would happen less and less. It's become more annoying than charming, right? It's become more annoying than funny, where we kind of get the point of Sanji just being this perverted guy. And it's like, okay, cool. We get it. He doesn't hit women. He's a pervert, and it is what it is, right? And sometimes it takes away from Sanji being a cool character, which I think he really is. Sometimes it feels overwhelming, right? And it feels like it just takes over who his character has become, where, you know, he has his amazing moments, right? But it just feels like we get more of pervert Sanji. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get it, bro. He likes women. A lot. But anyway, Kaido versus the Scabbards. I'm gonna say this now. I don't expect the Scabbards to win. I expect them to get pummeled, actually. But I expect also a showcase. There's a full moon, and really quickly, I wanted to shout out somebody that did a very funny bit in regards to Kaido and what could happen in the next chapter. And that's Tina Fate, at Tina Fate on Twitter. She had a funny just panel here of what Kaido could do if the minks tried to transform. So here you have Kaido saying, "You think I didn't know about the mink Sulong's forms?" And here goes Kinemon, "What are you planning on doing, Kaido?" And Kaido destroys the freaking moon. And the reactions from everyone is hilarious, because Enel is just there on the moon and it gets destroyed, right? So a very funny panel or funny drawing from Tina Fate. She's also the person who drew the Return to Reverie series by Arthur. So I think it's really dope, and I just had to highlight it. Her Twitter will be in the description box down below. Funny, really funny stuff. I do think they get to transform, because Oda has been hyping up this Sulong transformation for so long. So you have to showcase it. And when you showcase something, you have to have them doing something for a bit. So I think we're going to see the Sulong forms of Nekomamushi and Arashi. They're going to get some hits in on Kaido, but it's not going to do anything. He's just going to brush it off. So I think we see them just going in Sulong full form, just going crazy, but Kaido is just going to tank it, and he's going to overwhelm all of them. Now, for me, the strongest Scabbards are Denjiro and Ashura-doji, right? I think those are the last two that could be, left standing. And then after that, I think the Sulong forms are right there with Denjiro and Ashura-doji. And personally, I think they're going to be the last two left, because remember back in the flashback, before we saw the entire flashback, it was shown that Denjiro and Shutamaru, they stayed behind to fight Kaido. Like, those two were fighting Kaido back in the day. So I think we may actually see that again, in which Oda just highlights, hey, this is just what happened in the past. And hey, what do you know, is happening again in the future, where Kaido is fighting Denjiro and Shutamaru, trying to hold them off, maybe protecting someone. But personally, I think everyone else just gets dusted. Shutamaru hasn't had as much focus at all recently. Like, ever since his whole flashback and what happened to the people in the snatch moment, we haven't seen much of Shutamaru, so I think he may get some focus here, other than the minks, obviously. Raizo I don't expect much from. I personally wouldn't care if he died, and it's ironic that Raizo is a Scabbard that, led to the great moment in Zou, and he's a Scabbard that I care about the least now. It's sad. It's sad, but it is what it is. I expect great things from the next chapter. Again, I talked about Sulong versus Kaido, Oda giving us some more in regards to Ryo, some stuff in regards to alliance and betrayal. We may touch on that for sure, but I honestly expect great things from the upcoming chapter. So guys, give me your thoughts. What do you expect from One Piece chapter 988? The raid on Onigashima has been top tier. It's been top tier. I have been enjoying every single chapter of the raid. I honestly can't wait for the next chapter. So guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think? Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragaDAce. Follow me on Instagram at Bragady.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I shall catch you guys in the next one. Peace.